23 weeks, we went to a specialist and he did an echo as well, and then he referred us to Dr. Roten here at Cook Children's. We had a normal pregnancy, 39 weeks. We went and we were induced. For a little bit, we thought we were going to have a C-section, but luckily Harper made it all the way to 39 weeks, no problems. And Dr. Roten was the one who told us about Harper's HLHS diagnosis. She explained what hypoplastic left heart syndrome was to us. We were really clueless as to what it even meant. As a heart defect, we had just no idea what Harper's heart would look like, what her life would look like, and everything just sort of changed.
Hypoplastic left heart syndrome actually comprises of a number of anatomic defects. Harper has the common form of hypoplastic left heart syndrome. And so basically these children are born with a single ventricle and a single, and perhaps more importantly, a single right ventricle. Up until the early 1980s, there was basically no treatment for this heart defect. So doctors would literally tell parents that your baby has this horrible heart defect called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. There's nothing to do. You take the baby home and the baby's going to pass away. Dr. Norwood did his pioneering work around 1980, and since that time, surgeons around the country and around the world have learned to do the Norwood surgery better and better and better. These kids are missing one chamber. So what we actually do is try to make it so that this one chamber is able to support the baby's circulation or the child's circulation as long as possible. What we do is we reconstruct the aortic arch, we limit excessive blood flow to the lungs and allow the right ventricle to support the baby's circulation. With a single ventricle, what we want is for the blue blood to go directly to the lungs without going through the heart. And the heart would then only be responsible for pumping blood to support the body circulation or the systemic circulation.
So when we had her, we were told that we may only get a few minutes with her. It just kind of depended on how her heart did on its own. And so like once she was disconnected from me, her heart had to do it all. And so it just was gonna be up to her how long we got to hold her and love on her before she went away. We ended up getting like 30 minutes and she did great on her own, and all the grandparents got to come in and see her. I was recovering at Harris, so they gave me a room at Harris, and I basically just went there to be checked on and made sure I was doing okay, and then they would wheel me back over to the NICU so I could be with Harper. Well, when she was 3 days old, she was scheduled for her Norwood procedure. They said, let's go ahead and do it. We have, Dr. Tam here, and let's just get this going.
Often, very quickly after birth, the lungs tend to have too much blood flow, which places more stress on the right ventricle, and really almost to the point where the body doesn't get enough blood flow. So I believe that it's not healthy for the right ventricle to have this extra work for more than just a few days. The very first surgery has to be done in the newborn period because the baby has so-called ductal dependent circulation. So when the ductus arteriosus closes, there will be no cardiac output to the baby's body.
Her Norwood procedure went amazing. As far as we heard from Dr. Tam and everybody, she did fantastic. She just went through everything just really, really, really well. I was making her bottle and I heard her like cough, or it was a noise, I'm not really sure what it was. And I was like, was that her? And then we ran over there and picked her up, and she was just like not breathing, and I was like, whoa. So then we started the whole business, and she eventually just calmed down and was breathing okay. So
did she change color at all?
Mm-mm.
No.
Nope. We had a heart cath scheduled for August 24th, and her oxygen saturation started going down at home. Dr. Roten was like, why don't we come in, let's schedule a heart cath. We were admitted through the ER, and so she was on oxygen for 4 days until the heart cath. Once the heart cath happened, she still needed to be put on oxygen for a day, and then the next day, oxygen saturations were in the 80s. We were sent home not on oxygen, and everything was fine, and so that was really a miracle in itself. They sent us home with the app. It's on a tablet, and so in that app they have intake, output, vitals.
It sends everything automatically. We're not sending a weekly report. Every time we put something in, the hospital has it. It's almost like a little short visit, because they'll call if we have an issue and they'll talk to us. We talk to nurses all the time.
It's nice to be able to have an alert that says, hey, you've fallen out of what is normal for her. We all feel that this is a safe way to download data, and that it's protected, and we're able to look at this data and be able to have a real snapshot of what they look like at any given time.
I put in her heart rate, and I must have hit a wrong button. It was way higher than what it actually was. I had just put it in wrong, and within 10 minutes, Dr. Roten herself was calling me on a Saturday night and asking how Harper was and is anything wrong, and I was like, no, everything's fine. And she was like, well, I saw her heart rate on the app, and I was like, I must have put it in wrong.
I think people know that when you have a baby that has a lot of issues, going to an emergency room and having to be there with all the sick kids could cause her to have an infection that delays her being able to go through her next operation. So being able to keep her at home as much as possible, I think that is what that really allows for us.
There are 2 additional surgeries. The second surgery typically is when the kids are anywhere from 4 to 5 or 6 months of age, and that surgery is called the bidirectional gland or Fontan, where we connect the superior vena cava directly to the lung arteries, so that blue blood coming back from the upper extremities and the head would then become the main source of blood flow to the lungs. All these numbers are pretty good. This says that her oxygen level, so this QPQS is actually an estimation of how much blood is going to the lungs versus the body. So actually, according to these calculations, it was 1.48, almost 1.5 times more blood going to the lungs, which is good. Yeah. And so her heart function, all that seems to be good. And this is the reconstructed aortic arch from her Norwood surgery. And that all looks pretty good. So the Glenn surgery, so this is the superior vena cava from here. So what we actually do is we divide the superior vena cava and connect it to the right lung artery. So now venous blood from her upper extremities will now go directly into the lung artery.
it's really hard to send, your baby into surgery, but knowing kind of the way they handle things here helped us get ready for this. Still, the fact that you're about to put what looks like a perfectly healthy baby under is hard. That's the hardest part.
And then the third surgery is the completion Fontan, where the lower body blue blood is also now connected to the lung arteries. And so at the end of that surgery, all of the blue blood from the body then will go directly to the lungs without going through the heart. And that allows the right ventricle to only support the body circulation. And as she gets older, she'll be followed by our adult congenital cardiologist.
About 90% of these kids are surviving. Now, having said that, they have a list of complications that the average patient doesn't have, and they include learning disabilities and issues in school. Having a child go through 3 major open heart surgeries before you're 3 years of age is a lot. At Cook, we have something we call our NEST clinic, which is something that she's involved in, where we're looking at how we are getting brain development. Are we meeting our milestones? Clearly, we started off behind. When you're in the hospital for 6 weeks, you do delay what they do. So are we catching up appropriately? Are there things that we should be doing to help them? And I think that's really what we're talking about, changing the mindset that these kids can actually have a good life. It's not exactly what they were signing up for. It's a whole new set of problems, but it can be a good life.
We're so blessed to be, for Harper to be born at this time, and so that she has that chance. You feel like your baby is their baby. They do just make you feel like family here. As Harper gets older, she's gonna know Ellen, she's gonna know Caitlin, she's gonna know Courtney, and I guess it's just really incredible to be a part of Cook Children's and what they stand for kids.